Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another interview with another Mount Vernon Township High School Board of Education candidate. Today we are happy to visit with Brittany Boldt. Hi, Brittany, and thanks for agreeing to do this interview with us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Before we get into the questions, why don't we give you an opportunity to tell everyone about your background and maybe why you're motivated to run for the school board and why you think you're qualified to run for the Mount Vernon Township High School Board.
Well, as you said, my name's Brittany Boldt. I have lived in Mount Vernon for the last 12, 13 years. I have been in education for 14 years. I began teaching as an aide at Mount Vernon High School when I first graduated from Eastern. I'm originally from Olney, Illinois. Never wanted to leave the small town. Got engaged to a guy from Woodlawn. Was teaching at Mount Vernon, and here we are. Never left, really, except for 1 year. But came over from Eastern, was an aide in the PASS class, which was a special education classroom with at-risk students, right after college. We left Mount Vernon and went to Olney, where I'm from, for 1 year, where I taught at Newton Community High School. After a year, we missed Mount Vernon. Like I said, never wanted to leave my hometown. My whole family's from there, but we came back because we truly loved the high school. We loved the kids, loved the teachers, loved the community. So we came back, and at that time we had a daughter, and we continued to raise our family here. So I now have a master's degree. I work at the Regional Office of Education for Ron Daniels. I am the Preschool for All Director, and I cover Clinton, Marion, and Washington counties, where I oversee 14 school districts. Runs about 890 students. And this next year, we're hoping to take on Jefferson County, the outlying county schools, where I would serve around 1,000 kiddos, where I'm the principal for those programs. So I've served on Summersville School Board before. My motivation really stems from not only my children, but just the community as a whole. I think when you get into Mount Vernon, you become extremely invested. If you live here long enough, you want the best for your people. And I look at Mount Vernon as the students, as my people. I don't think a person goes into education if they truly don't want the best for kids. And that is my motivation. You know, not only my 3 children, we have a 6th grader, a 5th grader, and a 1st grader. They'll be at Mount Vernon High School here before long. But I have, you know, in the course of teaching at Mount Vernon for 10 years, you teach about 170 to 200 kids a year. And I would pray and hope that every one of my students that took my class would know that after a year of being in Miss Boldt's class, whether you like it or not, you become one of hers. And I take pride in that. So I have a lot of kids. I don't just have 3, I have hundreds. And that's my motivation. I want the best for them.
Okay. Well, one of the major concerns right now at Mount Vernon Township High School is teacher turnover and teacher morale. If you are elected to the board, how do you believe that you can impact this issue in a positive way?
You know, coming from Mount Vernon High School, I've had this question several times. And one of my motivation and when it comes to the turnover rate, you know, and not only the last 5 years, but in my 10 years, you know, in my tenure of being a teacher there, we had teachers come and go often. But we haven't had teachers come and go as we have in the last 5 to 7 years. When I first came into Mount Vernon, I believe there was about 15 to 17 teachers, but we had a lot of retirements that year. When I left Mount Vernon High School as a teacher who had been there for 10 years, I was a senior teacher in the CTE department, which is the Career and Technical Education department. That's the 2nd largest department at Mount Vernon Township High School. And I had only been teaching at that point in time for 11 years, and I was the head teacher out of our department. When you look at being the 2nd highest department or largest department, and I'm the senior teacher, that means we don't have a lot of people either sticking around a long period of time or who have been in education for a long period of time. And that's a problem. So one of the things I would really want to encourage is involvement, administration. I would love to build a mentoring program at Mount Vernon High School. You know, Mount Vernon High School is a very large school. It's kind of like you get into a big pond and you're a very small fish and you have to learn to survive. And one of the slogans is you either sink or swim. You figure out very quickly that it is on you and you've got to figure it out. I would love as a board member to not get involved to where I'm micromanaging as a board member, but I would want to support them. If you've got something going on in your classroom as a board member, I want to know. I want to go and help you. I want to go and support you. I want to go and encourage you. I want to go and be a part of it. There's got to be a stop to teachers wanting to leave. Randy, you've shared at Centralia High School that they've had one teacher leave pretty much every year in 5 years. That's amazing when you look at the demographics of Centralia compared to Mount Vernon. But that makes me so sad. Did I want to leave? No. The right job came available for me, but I loved teaching. I know several people were in the same boat. I never really wanted to go anywhere else. I could have lived and died at Mount Vernon Township High School as an educator. But I decided to pursue something else. It was just time. Mm-hmm. So as turnover rate, you've got to be involved. You've got to encourage your teachers as an administrator, as a superintendent. You've got to make sure that it becomes a home. It becomes a family. It becomes not you against them. It's us. And you've got to, as a board member, you've got to encourage your administration to be like that. It's not us. It's not them. It's, we're together. We're a family. And that would be where my approach would come from.
Okay. Let's move on to another issue then. Also at Mount Vernon Township High School, many would say that there is a lack of transparency or open communication with the public. What do you think can be done to improve communication and transparency at the high school?
I think that the public has the right to believe that. And sitting on a board at Summersville Grade School, I know that there are things that are discussed in closed session that necessarily can't come out into public because it's personnel or things like that. But I always take the approach of you're running a school for the people in the community. So if you're doing things for the community, there should be basically an open door policy to a certain extent. When it comes to the transparency, just communicate and talk and share. I know a lot of times in bigger districts, and I've done a lot of research on this, in bigger districts what they will do is they will have a finance committee. They will have a building committee. They'll have different committees, and they will have different board members that are present on each one of those committees. Within those committees, they'll make decisions, they'll pass, they'll go through bills, things like that. And then when they go to the regular board meeting, what happens is they just approve the minutes or they approve whatever the agenda was at that meeting. They don't really go through and talk. I don't like that. That to me is not transparent because if I wasn't one of the board members that was on that building committee and all we did is at that board meeting approve whatever they want to bring forward, I'm not going to have a clue what was discussed at that building committee meeting. So I get the concept, but that's not transparent to me. There's going to be things and decisions that are going to be made at that. And yes, you have to have trust and you have to have, you put trust in the people that you put on those boards. But right now, I think everything has to be shared. Things might have to change a little bit for a while for us to get back on the right page.
Well, without a doubt, I think that everyone wants their son or daughter to have a quality education. And according to the report card for Mount Vernon Township High School that's released from the Illinois State Board of Education, the ACT test scores have been dropping in recent years. The graduation rate is declining, and the dropout rate is increasing. What do you believe can and should be done to address these issues at Mount Vernon Township High School?
Once again, I think your communication needs to improve there. You have a lot of staff members at Mount Vernon Township High School that are not only very talented, but they're very educated. They're smart people. If you're using your people in the right way and you're using your people in a way that's going to make a difference in your community, you should have a lot of teams. You should have a lot of, they're the ones in the trenches. They're the ones who are going to be basically your experts. Your teachers, your guidance counselors, your social workers. My question would be, how are you using your people? It starts up here, but your teachers, your staff, they're the ones who continue to build. They know those kids. They know their ins and outs. When I was teaching at Mount Vernon, we did Freshman Academy home visits. My question would be, how many times are teachers reaching out? As an administrator, how many times are they reaching out to these families? What can we do to help you? What can we do to support you? Going in and making those home visits with kids and families, sometimes you see things that you don't necessarily want to see. Sometimes it breaks your heart. Sometimes it opens your eyes, and you realize very quickly they are alone. So when you talk about graduation rate and you talk about the dropout, you talk about the test scores, what are you doing to build your staff up? What are you doing? Are you changing your policies? Are you changing all the different programs year after year after year? Or are you giving it time to work? And once you implement something, the very following year, are you changing it? Because if so, that's not going to help the students whatsoever. When it comes to dual credit, when it comes to your AP testing, what are you doing to help build up those test scores to get them ready for the SAT or whatever test they're going to have to take? So I really think it comes to your teams, it comes to your teachers, it comes to your staff. What are you doing to help them?
Well, there's also, of course, been much discussion about the cost of the new school, as well as the ongoing spending that many people consider to be somewhat wasteful. As a board member, if you were elected, how would you try to contain cost at the high school?
To contain costs at the high school, I think that you have to take a look at all of the different things that they've not spent money on versus what they have spent money on. I think when you look at the containing of the costs, do we really need brand new everything? I can't tell you how much money we've probably thrown away. Obviously, the community knows how much money we've thrown away. Is it time to take a look at administration costs? Yes or no? I don't know. Do I think that it was done the right way? No, I don't. But I know that that is some things that some board members think. They think that we need to cut an administrator's position to save costs. I disagree with that. I think that you need to take a look at where are you spending your transportation costs at. I think you need to take a look at, are you spending money on taking maintenance equipment from one building to the next and back to the old building? I think you need to take a look at how much money are we generating for the old campus. I think you need to there's just so much that until I, as a person who's seeking a position on the board, I'm really not going to have an idea, and I can't tell you specifics until I sit on that board and I get caught up with things that aren't necessarily shared with the public, because I think that there's going to be an eye-opening experience. I'm a very conservative person when it comes to spending. When I worked at Mount Vernon High School, my budget a year to run a preschool on campus was $1,800, which is nothing to run a 5-day-a-week preschool. And I did it, and I always had money left over. So I run a budget right now of almost $1 million for the ROE, and I'm extremely conservative with my spending. So to give you specifics on what I would want to cut to save money for the district, I just want people to understand that I am not somebody who wants to waste taxpayer money. I'm not somebody who is going to make decisions behind closed doors without going to the public and passing an agenda or passing a proposal that's going to cost them more money, because I'm a tax-paying citizen in Jefferson County, obviously. So it's something that I just hope people would trust, that when I see and when I get on there, I would be very conservative with my decision making.
One of the things that you just mentioned in your response there was the old campus.
Mm-hmm.
And the school district is still spending a sizable amount of money to maintain the old campus. Mm-hmm. What do you think should be done with the old campus?
It's a great question. At one point in time, I thought we were going to sell it. I thought we were going to sell it building by building or opt out. I thought then, we talked about it being bulldozed down. I don't know if that's necessarily my expertise. I don't know why we wouldn't want to try to sell it if we could receive funding or, money for that. If you're going to hold on to it, I don't understand why we're not trying to maybe rent out or try to do something within Chagnon. That's an amazing gymnasium. The community could always use another facility to open up for practices or things like that. I don't understand why we wouldn't want to try to sell off buildings to other people, or we just need to bulldoze it and get rid of it. I do not like the idea of spending money on two campuses, one that's vacant and one that's not. I think that's a waste of money. I think that and if you are going to sell it, you need to do it because you're wasting time and things are going to go down.
Okay. In high school, as you know, the teachers give students a letter grade based upon their effort and performance. So if you were to give a letter grade to the current administration, what letter grade would you give them and why?
I personally would not put the administration in one lump sum. I think that that's not fair. I think that you would need to pull it apart a little bit. And this would be, I think that I would give the current superintendent, I would give him, well, at Mount Vernon, I would give him an E, which would be an F. I do not agree with his policies. I do not agree with his tactics, and he's well aware of that. Robert Knutson, I would not give him a passing grade either. I would give him an E as well. The rest of the administration, I believe that they are trying very, very hard, and they're doing their absolute best with what they have to work with. So I would give them a B. I would give them an A or a B. I mean, you have to understand something. When you go to Mount Vernon, if you're not familiar with it inside those walls, it is it's a beast. And sometimes you're a puppet, and that's probably not the right thing to say in the public forum, but I'm not your typical politician. I'm just a normal person. I'm a teacher. I'm a principal. I love my family. I love my kids. But you have two individuals that are controlling a lot within those buildings. And you have amazing people that work inside those buildings that can do a lot for our community. So those were the 3 grades that I would give.
Okay. Well, with 1 year left on the contract of the current superintendent, you will be involved in the hiring of a new superintendent if you are elected to the school board. So what are some of the traits, strengths, and characteristics that you would look for in a new superintendent?
You know, I've been blessed, like I said, to serve on Summersville School Board in the past, and I have been through this hiring process. I understand that Mount Vernon Township High School is a different level than Summersville, but I have been in the hiring process for a superintendent. I got to sit one-on-one. I've got to sit through many interviews. Honestly, I would look at loyalty to your community. I think sometimes communities have a tendency of going outside your community where they don't want people to have ties within. That would be something that I would want to have. I want somebody who's invested in our people. I want somebody who knows our school and knows our community and knows our kids. It seems like we've been bringing people in that don't really know. They're not there. They're not invested. They're not tax-paying citizens. And that does bother me. You know, they need to be local people. I really believe that. That would be something. They need to be extremely hardworking. They need to be wanting to I would look at digging their heels in. Yes, finances is a huge part of it. If you don't realize what a superintendent's role is, the financial portion of it is a large bit of a superintendent's day. They should know the ins and outs of school finances, very much so. Then you need to look at their leadership skills. They need to look at how are they going to look at their team of admins, and they need to see how are they going to build. You know, what's their plan? You talked about graduation rate. You talked about teacher turnover and morale. What are they going to do to help build up those teachers to want to stay and dig in and help build that school back up? There's a lot that's going to go into this one, a lot.
Do you believe that the Mount Vernon Township High School superintendent should live in the school district?
I think that superintendent needs to live, yes, in the district, but also it depends on the candidate. You know, I know a lot of people that are from Mount Vernon. Jefferson County is a big county. You know, you could live right by Dix, but live in Woodlawn School District. You know, you could live right there by Summersville, and your kids could go to Blueford Grade School, but Mount Vernon High School. That's a big area. So I don't know if you can necessarily, and that might upset people that I'm saying that, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to them. I want you to know exactly where I stand. Do they need to be a resident of Jefferson County? Yes. But Mount Vernon High School Township, I'm not sure, because it depends on the person. And if it's the absolute right person and they live in Jefferson County, I think that that's fantastic. That's where my answer would be. It's the person.
Okay. Well, Brittany, based upon time constraints, that's really all the questions that I have for you. But is there anything else that you would like to share with the public leading up to the election on April 4th?
You know, like I said at the beginning, I've got 3 kiddos. You know, my motivation is my family. God comes first, my family comes second, and then my job comes third. I would dig in. I mean, if everybody knows who I am, when I taught at Mount Vernon High School, I gave everything I had every second of every day. I loved being there, and I will love to be a school board member at Mount Vernon High School. So I hope and pray that they go out on election day and they click that first box that says Brittany Boldt, because I don't think that they would be disappointed in me.
Brittany, I want to thank you for participating in our candidate interviews. And again, I want to encourage everyone to, again, watch all of the candidate interviews and form your own opinions, and then be sure and get out and vote on the election, which, of course, is April the 4th.